All right, man. Cool. So we'll dive into it. Same thing with me. Do you remember the questions, or do you want to?
I want to freestyle it. Yeah, cool. So
the main ones, don't.
Yeah, obviously the main one is how did you get into coaching fitness? Where did that journey begin?
Yeah. So with me, obviously, I've always been into fitness. I won't even say that. I did play football very young, like just boys club kind of thing. And then after that, I wasn't really into fitness, to be honest with you. I was just out being a lad, really and truly. And, kind of like coming from that single parent household and that, I was kind of more just focused and being like the eldest. And I was just more just focused on making money. So I was doing a lot of different kind of business ventures and things like that, if I'm honest with you. But I transformed my body at 16, because I don't know if you remember how skinny I was, like from early days. Yeah, I was skinny. I'm gonna try to put that into this video. I'll send it to our editor, man. Big up, man. Yes, I was proper skinny, and yeah, one of the man them said that you look like if I punch you right now, you'll drop. But at the same time, he said, "Yeah, let's go gym." So trained, and you're young, so your growth hormones, everything it's easier. So I built muscle. I felt good about it. Anyway, put fitness down from there. I would always kind of like do a pull up here, do this there, but I wasn't fully training. I didn't respect the gym. I didn't respect fitness as a whole. I didn't really respect, what it is and what it does. And it's not until going through life and messing about, like I said, in the pursuit of money, and just going through a lot of dark and troubling times. And I kind of came out of that period of my life of just like, messing about as you do at around 21. So 21 now, similar sort of thing, right? How did I fall into the fitness? So I was looking at the fitness industry from a perspective of, firstly, I never wanted to work for no one. Because at 21, yeah, I'd never had a job. I'd never had no job. Like, usually it's actually the smart thing to do is to have little jobs, like learn, meet different people, do you know what I mean? But I'd never had a job by then. So I knew that, look, I ain't got no money. I do need a job, but I don't want to do this long term, innit? Yeah. So whatever, like I was literally, and I told the coaches in OHB this before that I was just designing my life. So I was like, I'm going to do a job for this amount of time. I'm going to transition into this business. And then I thought, all right, cool. I might do something to do with fitness, because one thing was that around that dark times, 18 to 21, get in trouble, law, all of that stuff, yeah, I always trained through that. And that kind of was the only consistent thing for me. So I was like, nah, man, I love this thing. Like it's good for your mental health. It makes you be resilient. Like makes you not, you know what I mean? Like, so I said, I want to do something, and I essentially wanted to do something in fitness, but I was thinking like to eventually get to a place where I have an app or something remote. So even with the PT, I knew that's not going to be a long-term thing. I can't be going in face-to-face for years and years. But anyway, so similarly, I actually got a grant though. I'm trying to say to you. So I actually got a grant for the PT course. It was 1,000 quid. Origin. I had no problems. Origin, big up yourselves. You know what I mean? Them lots, they helped me out. So yeah, I did the Origin course. I was working a part-time job at the time, a sales job for Samsung, funny enough, that I just luckily got, or thankfully got, and started working in the gym floor. And I just went through the cycles of a PT, like the full journey of a PT. But one thing I didn't do is I didn't move around. And that's one of the, so I think we'll talk more about our journeys in another podcast, but I didn't move around a lot. So I was at the same gym for like 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at the same gym for like 4 years, and it wasn't even the best gym, and I didn't even know. And I think that's why I didn't even think of the online coaching, because like there was nobody doing it. It was like a commercial kind of gym, but wasn't fully pure gym, so that there was, like, yeah. So yeah, I was at the gym for 4 years, but I was just ups and downs. So when I went in there, kind of quiet, wasn't the best PT there. Not in terms of I wasn't the best, but there was other PTs that were more favoured, you know what I mean? Like it was in Essex, there was more local people that are more get on with everyone they know. Maybe this is someone's mum's friend or whatever, right? But then after a while, just the charisma, the energy, you know how we naturally bring it, that just led me to, you know, be the top of the gym, but then natural fluctuations. And yeah, I was doing pretty good. And then like you said, I think it was lockdown, that was the tipping point. And I think just before lockdown, we'd been speaking. When you come back from America, this is a thing that you was always sending different things. Do you know what I mean? And I think you'd sent, before we went with that mentor, you'd sent a load of different mentors, and that was actually before lockdown. Yeah, so you were sowing the seed from time. And like I said, I just knew that eventually I'm not going to be doing, it needs to be a remote thing, but I never knew what online coaching was. Then you were sowing the seeds of it. And then I think, lockdown is when we doubled down. We said, we're going to go for it. And yeah, that's how we landed into the online coaching.
So you're saying that I'm the reason you're doing online coaching?
Yeah. I think, yeah. I have to give the flowers where they're due, but I naturally would have moved.
You would have done something.
You would have done something.
I would have had to. Yeah. So then it's okay. You got to online there. For you then, what were like the top 3 or top 2 struggles that you faced with it?
Boom. Right, I can talk about this one well, man. So I'm going to talk about 2 because there was loads. First one was niche, just like you said.
Yeah.
You know, but I have to stress it a bit more that when you don't know your niche, it's difficult, man. It's difficult.
It's hard if you don't know.
Because you don't even realize. It's why any good mentor that someone goes to, they always start with that. They will always ask you, you know, who's your niche? Like, who really is it? Even the people we work with now, like, they proper dialed in on that before we started doing any work.
It's the basis. It's kind of the basis for everything. If you think about it,
it's the foundation of the house. So where we didn't have that, especially, you know, from my perspective, it was just hard, man. It was very hard to kind of know who I was talking to, build the programs, like you said, everything you said, so I won't reiterate too much. That was the biggest struggle. The second thing was the mindset. And I didn't even know that it was a mindset thing. I didn't know. I love this quote, I always talk about it, yeah? What's his name, man? Patrick Bet-David.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got Valuetainment, yeah. So he's got a book, Your Next 5 Moves, and he has a quote where he says, business is both high risk both mentally and financially. So business is high risk, high return, mentally and financially. Yeah, something like that. So he's saying you can win big, you can lose big. Financially, we know how. You know what I'm saying? You could flip and make it, drift into the sunset. Mentally, you can crack, as a lot of people do. And what do? They go back to whatever they was doing before, gym floor. They go to
comfort, innit? They go back to
comfort, or you just turn to an animal, like a beast, and it's like you got the best self-development course, a degree that you could ever get. Yeah. And that's what I got, man. I had so many different things, limiting beliefs, this and that,
like
that and the third.
When you say limiting beliefs,
bro, I'll tell you what I was just about to say. Like one of them, like you, I'm not gonna lie, helped me break. I'll be honest with you, bro. And it was the technology thing. You know what I mean? You and my girl both did it, right? Because I remember, like, I said something to you, like, this is all mad, and I was like, I didn't go uni, you went uni. He was like, bro, man, that sounds like an excuse. He's like, that sounds like an excuse to me, you know? And then obviously, I'm hard-headed because obviously, you know, we're brothers, so we're gonna argue. So I'm thinking, oh, nah, man, you don't understand, Then my girl was like as well, like, nah, man, trust me, you're just saying that. You know what I'm trying to say to you? So with her saying that and just the culmination of both of you saying it, like later, I had to train myself to know, like, just tackle it head on, do it. And little things like asking for support. That's why I talk about these things. So you're on a chat, let's say you're using a software, Calendly, for example, and something's not working. For some reason, some sort of blocks would not make me just go to the support
where it has like
the little chat box and ask for the support. So I had a lot of limiting, like a lot of mindset battles. So that was one. What was the other one? I think the other one is not even as tangible to explain, but it's more just holding back. And I was actually explaining to one of my clients today, actually, one of my like long-term fitness clients that I'm just kind of holding on to, you know what I mean? And I was like, I remember sparring with a girl, right? Sounds silly, but you know, when you're just kind of helping her, she never done any sparring, so I'm not hitting. And she's kind of holding back, like she's holding back. And I'm like, listen, like you need to hit me hard, innit? I'm not gonna hit you.
Yeah.
You need to throw it at me because that's better for me anyway, you know? And I just kind of coached her through not holding back. And I guess she's holding back because she's thinking that if she goes hard, then the sooner she gets better, she opens her up to being in the big leagues now. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, she's gonna now be in a big league. She has to proper spar. People are gonna go less light on her. And I think that's the limiting belief a lot of us have, to where we don't go fully at it. We don't play to win. We just play 50-50.
Play not to lose.
Because we know that once you do go hard, you're in the big leagues, like there's big responsibilities, all of that, man. So those are kind of some of the limiting beliefs I had. So I think those two things, the niching, the limiting beliefs, because I could say technology as a whole, as a lot of coaches, PTs will kind of relate to, but it was more limiting beliefs. Yeah.
Coaches love the tech thing, man, but
They love the tech thing, bro. Yeah.
like
I loved it as well, bro.
2023, man, like
It's different now.
you can't use a laptop, yeah. There's no excuse, man. Like it's and if you just start, you're gonna get better. I compare it to training. Like you didn't come out the womb deadlifting or squatting or lunging with perfect technique. Like you have to work on it.
And it is easier, to be fair, bro. When we started, to be fair, there was a lot of the things we was doing.
It's easier now.
Like,
Yeah. It's so much easier now. All right, cool. So then when did things start to shift for you then in terms of getting momentum, starting to get more clients? Like
Yeah.
you're starting to see, okay, I see how I can actually generate leads every week, book calls every week.
Yeah. I think so obviously there was 2 mentorships that kind of had a big influence on my career, both our careers, right, with the business. But in the first mentorship, it was kind of just dry for a bit. It was really a slow burn. Yeah, it wasn't like never that influx. And then the first thing that helped me was, all right, I'm doing the basics of what the mentor's saying, what the program is saying. I am doing it. It's not like I'm way behind. I haven't tapped into anything. I'm doing the basics. And kind of like going above and beyond. You know what I mean? So I remember I did like a IG shout out. You know what I'm trying to say to you? I did an IG shout out where I paid a page and whatnot. And like I hit 5K that month. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Like my monthly recurring literally just went up because I just got like loads of sales. I did like a blunt post. Yeah. So that helped. That showed me to kind of be a bit not you know, you got to listen, especially if you know you got to follow the thing, but also to go above and beyond. That's what that showed me. So that's when that really helped with that business. But there was still a lot of loopholes, a lot of things we didn't know. Like for example, monthly recurring went to 5K, then a few months later I dipped down.
Right.
Because guess what? Didn't know about contracts.
Yeah.
Didn't know about contracts then. So it was mad.
And there was no.
It was probably
It's funny now because everything that we've learned, we teach our clients, but people, even on the first mentorship, they weren't telling us, oh, make it 6-month minimum or 3-month minimum. It was just
do whatever.
do whatever. Like it's kind of mad. When I'm deep in it, no, it's actually
do whatever. The answer for everything, or a lot of things, was do whatever. So yeah, that was it. It had its benefits. I'm not gonna.
It laid the foundations for sure.
Yeah, and then the second thing when it all started changes, I remember that it was like it's not like I didn't have the monthly recurring. I didn't have clients. I was probably sitting on like 20 clients or a little bit more. But you know when just lifestyle and just normal, just it's not enough.
Yeah, you want more, innit?
It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And like I didn't really have money left over and anything like that. You know, I'm wondering why. But it's like, you know, you're making like 2K, 2 and a bit. And funny enough, like when you are a PT, you can get used to like fast money as well. Do you know what I mean? I've always kind of like been like that, to be honest with you. But as a PT, it's kind of, you get used to just spending and a bit of fast money depending on, you know, how you are with it. So yeah, man, I remember I just weren't feeling good about the business, man. I was feeling shit, like feeling like no money left. I think I just had a holiday and I just low. Yeah, and then that's when I jumped on. I was looking. My eyes was open. Had a bit of savings. I got on a call. Someone was trying to charge me 3K for 6 calls. For 6 calls, so I'm just looking for what's gonna change my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the best way?
Then I remember speaking to this mentorship, and then yeah, man, that's when we started working with them, and that's when it was high ticket sales, LinkedIn, a bunch of different things, and not only the money, because cool, you know, that helped us get the money, but I think it just changed my whole perspective on life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you've gone from a slow dripping, thinking that that's how it has to be. You'll always be slow and you just have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, to knowing that, no, like you can make big impacts in 30 days. Like you can do like really, you know. So that was it, man. That was some of the biggest turning points, to be honest. I won't go over too much because it's kind of cross paths with what you're saying, but